Yeah, so welcome to today's webinar. This is the third webinar we're having this year. And it's a pleasure to have no other person than Lola Salehu, who is an amazing individual, right? I've known her for a couple of years, right? Maybe not on a personal level, but I see what she's doing. I see her works. I see her works in terms of design, articles, and all that. And no other person that I think would be best fit to speak on the subject we have at hand today, right? How to leverage AI tools as designers, as creatives, as humans, right? Lola is a design and product expert with experience leading design teams, right? Where she builds products from 0 to 1. And this is delivered with high craft and impact. She's one who specializes in applying innovation, product strategy to generate growth and revenue, right? Through delightful products used by millions of people across the world. She's also an experienced educator, right? She speaks at events, she writes articles. If you're not following her on LinkedIn, please do well. She's dedicated to helping young people develop their skills and expertise that they need to succeed in the tech industry through guidance in career and other professional development initiatives, right? It's my utmost pleasure and privilege to welcome Lola Salehu, the beautiful, brilliant, amazing designer. Lola, please, you have the floor. Thank you very much. And you might want to introduce yourself in a better way. Maybe I didn't do justice to that. Nothing talks about where you work and what you do. So just a brief introduction. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Ife, for especially for inviting me onto this platform. As you mentioned, my name is Lola Salehu, and I'm basically here today to talk about a topic that's been buzzing on the internet, as we all know. I will go into my I'll go into like the whole formalities of my intro, but essentially, right now I lead product design on the growth team at Flick Social. I used to before Flick, I was working as a senior product designer at Paystack and Base Capital, and right now I'm essentially also working with the Intelli design community to help designers. Come to leverage AI and machine learning, or basically upskill in the areas of AI and machine learning and stay ahead of the curve, especially with the ongoing changes in the tech industry. So that is what ultimately brought me here. If I noticed some of my work regarding intelligent design and in the AI ML space, and invited me to come and share some of that on this platform today. So yeah, that's basically a brief overview of why I'm here.
All
Uh,
right. Okay, go ahead, please. Go ahead, please.
no, that's basically it. I would like to share my screen because I did prepare some slides today, but I figured that you have a couple of things you might want to say before we go into it.
Okay, all right. So Lola will be sharing a screen. She's prepared something, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot from what she's put together. But more than that is to say, you mentioned working at Flick. I saw what you guys did with your social management tool that is run by AI, right? All
Yes.
right. So we hope to get more insight and more information about that. So you can try to share your screen. Let me know if you can do that from your end, um, so that we can get right into it. Are you able to?
Um, okay. Sorry, hold on.
All right. Abayomi, welcome. Innocent, it's good to have you here. I think this is my first engagement with you, Innocent. Thank you very much for joining. Abayomi.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Take your time. Yes, we can see your screen. Let me know if you guys can see a screen in the comment section. Just your favorite emoji. Let's know if you can see a screen. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Lola, you have the floor.
Okay, yeah, so today we're going to be talking about a topic that's been buzzing on the internet, like I said, and it's basically like how to work with AI and transform your design process and your career as a designer. I'd say that AI is a game changer for designers, but I know that right now it can be a little intimidating at first. And that's why today we're going to like just explore some of the fundamentals of the world of AI design and help you start like adapting your design process to this exciting new age that we're in. Um, okay, yeah, I was supposed to do like an intro of myself in case I didn't get to at the beginning, but seeing as I already did that, I think that we can just get right into it. Um, Before we start, actually, I'd like to ask everyone here a question. Where do you think design would be, or what do you think design would look like in the next 5 years? And I basically like you to like hold that thought for a minute. You can reply in the chat while we continue, and we'll get back to it towards the end. But yeah, ultimately, I want you to just like sit with this question in your mind for a bit, and I'll continue the course of the session. But ultimately, I hope that we're all ready to embrace the future of design because it's pretty much already here. Um, okay, wait, let me just make sure. Okay, yes. Yes. So essentially, you see that there are a few new career paths emerging in the world of design, and AI designer will soon become a common job title. To give you an example, you can see companies like Google, Microsoft, and Adobe are already leveraging AI to create game-changing products. You see stuff like Bard and Bing AI and this other one that Adobe just released. Basically, you can see like all the huge companies scrambling to make sure that they're integrating their legacy products with artificial intelligence and machine learning. And if you notice, a lot of the businesses around the world right now are also like starting to copy these companies, and companies are looking for opportunities to enhance their processes with artificial intelligence, looking to offer new value offerings to their customers, like now leveraging these new technologies. And this is actually very important for us as designers because um, if you think about it, using AI, it seems like using AI is starting to become a competitive advantage for a lot of businesses. Businesses are starting to realize that by using these new technologies, they can innovate faster, they can save time, maybe even save resources, and they can move ahead of their competitors and get more market share in their prospective markets. But then it's not just businesses that are excited about this, though. With AI becoming a more like integral part of our daily lives, you can see that literally everyone is talking about artificial intelligence. Either you're hearing people murmuring stuff about ChatGPT or why Bing or why Google's Bard is better than ChatGPT or whatnot. But essentially, AI, it's not uncommon for you to hear that one platform's algorithm is better than the other's algorithm in your everyday conversations. And this tells you that AI has now become an integral part of our daily lives. People are now expecting functional experiences that can adapt to their needs and their preferences. And as designers, it's now up to you to meet those expectations in the in your daily experiences or in your day to day as a creator of these experiences. So that's essentially why I'm excited to speak to you today. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore how you can sort of adapt your design process for AI. We'll cover some key concepts and terms that you need to know to work with AI and figure out just a little about what the role of an AI designer entails, and yeah, basically just get you started on how you can start to leverage AI in your daily workflow or develop the mindset to start working with teams building AI products. So we'll start off with the fundamentals, right? When it comes to designing for AI, there are some key concepts that you as a designer need to understand in order to successfully adapt your design process. You don't need to be an expert in programming or data science, but you do need to have a basic understanding of these fundamentals and how they work. So we'll start with the first one, artificial intelligence. I'd say it's important to understand the basics of artificial intelligence and what it's capable of. And it could start from the definition. Artificial intelligence is a system that can learn from data and make decisions based on that learning without you having to explicitly program it to do so. So some examples of AI are image recognition, like your capture, like the capture test you always do to prove you're human. It could also be like speech recognition or natural language processing in products like that you currently use, like ChatGPT 3 and Mid Journey. So we'll put a pin on that. That's the definition of artificial intelligence. And I'd say next, it will be essential for you to understand the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning. Um, AI is a broad term and it typically refers to systems that can perform tasks that require human intelligence, like decision making and perception. But machine learning, on the other hand, is a subset of AI that involves teaching machines to learn from data and improve over time without explicitly being programmed to do so. An example of this is a chatbot that can understand and respond to um, the stuff that you type to it. And in that scenario, it's basically using natural language processing to figure out what you're trying to tell it and basically give you an output on basis of your inputs. So I'll just put a pin on that and we'll go into figuring out how exactly um, AI learns, because it's really crucial to understand how all this like fits into one big picture, right? The major difference between how AI learns is it can be categorized into two. So we have like supervised learning and unsupervised learning. And in supervised learning is basically a scenario where the AI is trained on labeled data, meaning that the data that the data that the AI system is getting has been previously labeled with information by yourself or your team. Like you feed your artificial intelligence model data that you have labeled with some sort of information, and then this type of learning is usually useful when you want the AI to classify items. Like for example, your email, the system that determines if an email that comes in is spam or not is has been taught that based on like supervised learning. So in that way it's able to like classify, oh, this is spam and this isn't spam. And then the other scenario is unsupervised learning, where you initially do not give the artificial intelligence model any label data, and instead you or your team expects that it should find patterns in the data on its own. And this type of learning is useful when you want AI to um, group some kind of data by itself intelligently so that it will give you certain kinds of output. And then thirdly, it's important that we also cover or become familiar with neural networks, because these are essentially the backbone of many AI systems. And I'd say that neural networks are like a type of machine learning algorithm that works like the structure of the human brain. So it typically just involves like a lot of interconnected nodes that process data and try to like make predictions or decisions based on them. So like based on what I was just saying with unsupervised learning, for example, the mechanism that would enable your AI model to actually identify patterns and try to intelligently present insights by itself is based on a neural network. And an example of a neural network would be the image recognition, where when you're when you're you're asked to identify which object is a traffic light during a capture, essentially like the AI had to figure out which image actually has the object that is a traffic light, and then try to make sure that when you provide the inputs, it matches what the correct answer is in order for you to continue with the process that you were trying to initiate. So essentially, I hope that was a good example, but yeah, essentially that's like leveraging like neural networks to help the AI make decisions. And we also have types of neural networks, which are like convolutional neural networks that works for the image recognition task in capture, like I just mentioned, or the recurrent neural networks that works for helping AI recognize speech and yeah, speech recognition. So like when you do like voice to text, it's able to actually like recognize what you're trying to say regardless of your intonation or whatnot. And then the third is generative adversarial networks, which have now become the popular generative AI. And how it works is that it basically just helps your AI model create its own new realistic form of data. So let's just quickly breeze through it. Other important terms that you need to know when working with AI are data sets, algorithms, and natural language processing. Data sets are the information that machines use to learn and make decisions. And I'd say like data is like the fuel for your machine learning model. And it's because it's just really crucial to making sure that the AI is actually able to learn stuff and provide valuable output. So as a designer, you need to understand the importance of data when you're training and improving an AI model, because you also have to know how to work with data and help your team get quality data into your model. And an example of this would be like when you're working on a recommendation engine, it needs to have a really good idea of, say, for example, your customers' past purchases. If it doesn't have enough information, the chances are you have like very limited recommendations, and maybe people might even get tired. For example, if I order a toilet seat this week, and then because your machine learning model is limited in range or what it knows, you're recommending a toilet seat to me every other day. You know, toilet seats aren't exactly like, it's something that you probably need to buy once a year or whatnot, and then you don't need to replace it. But then imagine if you keep going to your Amazon card, and then you're seeing, oh, buy another toilet seat. It can be pretty annoying. So that, I hope that just gives you a good idea of like why you need to feed your algorithm enough data to like have it give like relevant recommendations. And then we also have algorithms, which are basically like the steps that machines use or follow to solve problems. And then natural language processing, which is basically just involves like teaching machines to understand and respond to human language. So this is basically like the core, this is the core technique that tools like ChatGPT and voice assistants use at the moment, because they rely on this natural language processing to provide a natural and intuitive user experience. So for example, you can imagine if you're designing a chatbot that uses natural language processing to try to understand and respond to your customers. You as a designer, you would need to understand how the NLP algorithm works, and in order for you to help your team design conversations that can likely provide helpful and accurate responses. So that's just basically why we needed to touch on these terminologies, because while working on a team, you need to understand these basic terminologies in order to work more effectively with developers when creating something like a chatbot, for example, that is supposed to respond to customers. So now that we've touched on the fundamentals, we can now talk about how to adapt your design process for AI. Um, so, as a designer, you typically need to work with data scientists to collect or generate like necessary data to train your algorithm or to fine tune it based on whether or not your team, because it could be either way, right? So it's either your team decided to train their own artificial intelligence model, in which case they would have to gather so much data and probably a lot of money in order to effect to get something that would produce value, or they could leverage I think that would be one of the good things about open AI right now. They could leverage their APIs and then basically create a subset of the model rather that OpenAI has created, and then try to like fine tune it for their use case. So I'll go into that a little bit more, but essentially your primary role as a designer on the team is to create more avenues for your artificial intelligence model to collect data in the form of feedback from your users, or just using creating inputs like UI elements that will help the AI model figure out what the user is actually trying to achieve with the system. So this so your day-to-day would typically involve like designing user interfaces that allows users to provide feedback, and then prototyping methods for your AI to figure out what the user's intention is most of the time. And you'll be working primarily with data scientists and machine learning engineers. Not to say that you wouldn't be working with other parts of the business, but with regards to training the AI model particularly, or figuring out, or basically helping your team figure out like ways to get feedback from actual users, you'll be partnering majorly with the data scientists and machine learning engineers. So to sum it up, designing for AI requires like a skill set that allows that you need to you basically need to create a system that is able to adapt and learn, and it requires you to understand data, algorithms, ethics, and how to collaborate with technical stakeholders like the data scientists and machine learning engineers. By understanding like a few of these things, you can start developing the mindset you need to create effective AI-driven products that meet the needs of users and businesses alike. So this is just like a brief overview of how you can start to transform or change your mindset into like the AI product development process. So now we can dive into some of the qualities that are required of an AI designer. Um, so basically, being an AI designer is quite similar to being like a regular designer. It just like most things, it just requires you to develop certain skills more than others. For example, we know that the demand of AI powered products are increasing at the moment, but you can also see that the need for AI designers will likely increase with that. And I'd like to touch on some of the actual qualities of an AI designer and how it differs from being a normal designer. Firstly, it's important to note that AI designers are not data scientists or software engineers. They are designers who understand the capabilities of AI, how to basically incorporate it into their design process well enough. And as an AI designer, you mostly work on developing products that can be used in various industries, from healthcare to finance to education. And you're expected to leverage your design skills coupled with your understanding of algorithms and all of these other terminologies to create products that are tailored to meet the needs of your users. So in order to become an AI designer, um, you basically need a solid foundation in design principles coupled with knowledge of AI and machine learning. You need to understand the limitations and possibilities of AI, as well as how to work with data to create user centered designs. And one way that I'd say that AI designers don't really differ from traditional designers in the sense that they both must possess design and technical skills. It's just that one has to be comfortable working with complex data sets and have an understanding of how to use machine learning algorithms more than the other. And yeah, you need to understand not just how to use machine learning algorithms, but how to use it to make predictions and improve the user experience. So just like bringing it down to earth a bit, the role of an AI designer is essential in product development because it enables businesses to create products that are tailored to the average person. For example, if you think about a healthcare app designed to help people manage like chronic medical conditions, an AI designer would typically try to use machine learning algorithms to analyze patient data like, oh, let's consider factors like the blood sugar levels, the heart rate, the what are their medications that they're currently taking, and whatnot. And then they'll use all of these data to provide personalized recommendations for the patients. They might even monitor certain metrics like, oh, when the blood sugar level drops to this percent, we send an alert to the person. How can we use the machine learning model to anticipate what happens, what recommendations we should give to the person after the blood level sugar has dropped? Should we contact the health services? Stuff like that is the typical mindset of an AI designer. And you just typically be leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning whenever you're thinking about user-centered products. So yeah, basically now that we've talked about what AI is and the role of an AI designer, we can now touch on the most exciting part of this talk, which is like how you as a designer can leverage AI to improve your work and design process. So I'd say that the first step is just reflecting and trying to identify areas of your process that could benefit from AI. A lot of things like your data analysis, your current user research process, or even your prototyping and testing methods can be enhanced when you pair it with algorithms, because this means that you can work with your data team to extract insights and learnings that you probably haven't been able to before. Like, for example, when doing user research, you could use your machine learning algorithms to identify user patterns and preferences that if you did like a user interview, for example, you could use your machine learning algorithms to analyze that, and it will just give you a summary of everything, of some nuances that you didn't even notice from the user interview. It will sum up, like if you interviewed 30 people, it will give you like a really good summary and breakdown of the key things that you need to pay attention to, or key opportunity areas that your team can innovate in to actually like elevate your product or your user experience. So these are just a few ways to touch on like how you can leverage AI as a designer. And then some other ways are basically you can speed up your design process by there's some repetitive tasks that you do every day as a designer, like maybe trying to resize images, or generating color palettes if you're starting a new project, or looking for stock images or whatnot. But essentially, like when you use artificial intelligence tools to facilitate these processes, it allows you to focus more on like the innovative part of your work as opposed to like the repetitive ones. I know that like tools like Sketch to Code and Adobe Sensei currently help with tasks like converting your hand-drawn sketches into working code, or helping you generate logos and fonts and whatnot. So this should typically free up your time a bit to focus on more critical aspects of your design. Secondly, AI can help you provide or produce better designs by analyzing large amounts of data and then providing insights that can help you make really good design decisions that are data and insight driven. And another way you can also leverage AI as a designer is to it can help you improve the user experience of your designs. Basically, like when you analyze the data, like I mentioned earlier, you then like get a very good idea of how to personalize your designs to each user, and this makes it more engaging and more likely to capture the user's attention. um, and then lastly, AI can also help you generate ideas and insights that would otherwise have been difficult or impossible for you to come up with manually. Like, for example, like I mentioned earlier, in the use case of designing a hospital or a health recommendation system for like people that have medical conditions, you would probably have to have worked with the team for a couple of years or have to like read a ton of medical research papers in order to like get some information that you otherwise would be able to get in a day if you currently use artificial intelligence in your design process. So yeah, that's just one of the ways. Like it just basically like gives you a ton of insights up front that you could use to better like the products or the experiences that you put out there with little effort. So these are just a handful of ways that I currently use AI in my workflow. I actually shared a few more examples of other ways myself and my team are currently using AI to improve our workflow. I'd recommend all right, actually no, this is the thread. So I shared this thread earlier, and I'd recommend I'd share a link to it where we can like access it and whatnot. But essentially, I also listed a couple of tools. Sorry, I forgot about them. There's also attention insight, which you can use to basically analyze your user flows and identify like issues. Like if you design UI and then you want to figure out what potential issues there could be with this UI before having to maybe like take it to your team or before putting it in front of your users, you can use tools like attention insight to get this done and to basically help you like validate your hypothesis um, of your UI by figuring out what your user stories are, and then it will also like generate ideas for improving your designs. And we also have like user research assistant tools like Coco, and these help you to like brainstorm and suggest ideas when you're doing research, like persona traits or like interview questions that you can use, or um, what the feature ideas or what some needs of your users are. Essentially, like these tools are pretty much trained, like there are fine-tuned models of the original open AI's machine learning model. And how these work is that the more you feed your particular model specific information about a particular industry. Like, for example, if you keep feeding your AI model information about the content creation industry, like my team does, you eventually have your own fine-tuned model that really works for suggesting content ideas to people, making it so that they can they know when is the best time to schedule content to their profiles, or even like helping them to create content in like really fast ways, because the model has been trained so much on that particular industry data that it thinks like these people. So yeah, a lot of these tools are just like subsets of models that have been trained in particular industries. So when you think of tools like user evaluation or Jasper AI, it just helps you like specialize in improving a specific aspect of your design process. Like, oh, I'm designing for a global audience, and then my designs have to be translated to over 30 languages. I can use a tool like Jasper AI that has been trained to basically transcribe content in different languages, and then with a click of a button, it does this for me. So yeah, essentially that's how these tools work. I'll share a link to the thread so you can also find some of the tools if you're willing to try them out in your process. And then essentially, I'm also going to say that if you're interested in, we've covered a lot of ground in this talk about, like, how AI is transforming the design industry and how you can leverage AI to improve your work and your design process. And I hope that I basically highlighted how clear it is that AI is here to stay, and its influence on the design industry, not even just the design industry, a lot of industries right now will only like continue to grow. So for designers who are looking to embrace AI and become like better equipped with improving your workflow and staying relevant in the industry, I would encourage you to start incorporating AI in your design process. And if you would like to go a step further and learn how you can start working with teams building AI products in the real world, I recommend like signing up for a few of the classes I'm taking on IntelliDesign, which is basically like I mentioned, trying to help designers come to learn how to leverage AI and machine learning and work with teams building AI products. So we'll be kicking off on the 9th of April, and I'll essentially like continue from where we left off. And yeah, I'll have the link introduced into the slides or the post or whatever, and then you can let me know if you're up to sign up for that. And yeah, that's basically it. Do you have any questions for me? Sorry. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. I was looking for the emojis, right, to give you a thunderous round of applause.
Thank you.
So, guys, for those of you who just joined, I'm sure you missed a lot, but you're lucky that this session is recorded. But for those who were on the call since we started, right, I'm sure that Lola has done justice to this subject. And I kind of like how she started with because as designers, you need to understand the basics, right? The fundamentals, right? Before you go into more advanced areas of that subject, right? And I like the fact that she touched on a bit of nomenclatures, if I would use that word, machine learning, AI, data set, and all that, right? Lola, thank you very much for this short but concise and precise presentation. If you have any questions, I have a couple of questions, but if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute your mic. You can turn on your camera if you want to, but feel free to unmute your mic and ask your questions. Or you can just raise your hand. I think that would be better so I can go in an orderly manner. Right? Because I believe a couple of people here are not just product designers. Obviously, you would speak from a product design point of view, but overall, you spoke from a designer point of view, right? Because you said not just for product design, right? A couple of them are not product designers. Some are brand designers, some are what I call editorial designers, right? And I believe a couple of them want to know how they can leverage AI tools. But I'm glad that you touched on a couple of them, right? Beyond just building products, right? I like the way you listed how AI tools will help you speed up your process, help you cut off time that you would have wasted on repetitive tasks, right? And how it would help you strategize better and design better. So, but one key question I want to ask you, if there's any, right, is how can I, right, as a designer, I believe time management is a very, very, like they say, time is money, right? Are there any tools that I can use to manage my time? You mentioned Microsoft coming up with BAD. and the likes of other AI tools. I also saw that Microsoft also has this AI tool that the meeting we had today, right? I don't need to take pen and paper to be writing minutes of meetings, right? After the session, I can convert the deliberations from the meeting into a deck, right, with action points and all that. But in the context of time management, are there AI tools that designers can leverage in order to be more productive and all that? Do you have any? Do you want to speak on that?
Well, I think there's just one that comes to mind right now, which I've tried, is Run Day AI. And it mostly works for optimizing your schedule and trying to help you take away the hassle of scheduling meetings or the back and forth when you have to like figure out a time to do it. And also, before the paid version of ChatGPT came out, which I'm now using, like there's a new like plugin where you can integrate your ChatGPT with Zapier, and then it basically like helps you, it has access to like all of your other software. So for example, you can have it like schedule your reply an email to maybe like a client, or you can have it like find a suitable time to schedule your meeting, or issue an invoice to someone or whatnot. I'd say that ChatGPT has kind of like filled in that space with the ChatGPT and Zapier integration. But if you don't, I mean, of course, if you don't want to pay like $20 a month for the paid version, you can also try like Runday AI, or I think there's also Adept AI, which does exactly what the ChatGPT and Zapier integration does. But yeah, it's kind of hard to keep up with a lot of these tools because, like, like I said, a lot of companies right now, they're really scrambling to innovate with this stuff. So there are like five tools doing the same thing or whatnot. And then actually, that's where your role as a designer comes in, because like the more like people build these tools, the more companies build these tools. Our primary roles as designers has always been to like also um try to provide like a competitive edge for teams. So you as a brand designer now can now come in and say, oh, this is how I can help you to differentiate your brand or your product, and then you can now, in terms of like your personal process, instead of you having to like maybe spend a couple of days or weeks coming up with ideas for differentiation, you can just like also use these tools and like come up with like 15 variations of what works, or come up with, instead of doing a lot of variations, come up with the most strategic way for the company to position itself, especially when you're able to use AI to analyze how many of these brands have already gone a particular direction. I hope you understand what I mean. Like basically just able to like
Yes.
analyze really fast and then say, okay, this is one direction that we haven't explored. So I think this is how we should like differentiate the product and whatnot. So yeah, that's just like one example of how you can leverage AI to be more
Wow.
productive.
All right. Thank you very much. Because I actually wanted you to touch on that, because I believe. Um, so here's what I love about your session. There are a couple of people who are going into the UI UX space, product design space, and not many of them are. That's why I love what you're doing. Not many of them are upskilling to become AI designers. Not just about using the AI tools, right? Designing, right, tools that would help others perform functions better. And I think that's what you're doing. But beyond that is to say, having a tool is good, but knowing how to use it is even much, much important. A couple of people have run into these AI tools, and there was something I saw somewhere. Someone was trying to do I think, trying to write a code. I don't know what he was trying to do, but trying to write a code for an animated script. And he was just giving the ChatGPT, whatever tool, writing English. After several trials, he realized that these AI tools don't even understand English. all they understand rather are prompts. So how can I, as a designer, know how best to prompt a tool to give me what I'm looking for, rather than spending time trying, or is trial part of the process to knowing what prompts are best suited for the result that I look for?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'd say that actually trying is part of the process, because even at even on my team right now, a good part of the job of the prompt engineer and also myself as a designer is figuring out like what would be the best structure of what would be the best way to structure the prompt so that when a user types in when a user like provides us an input like, oh, I want to do X, X, and X, we feed it to the AI model in such a way that it gives like the best possible results. So anyway, like what I was trying to touch on is the fact that trial and error is like a huge part of like figuring out like the best way to structure your prompt. But I believe there are actually like a couple of resources out there now that like just say, oh, free prompt schools or like free prompt templates to try out with ChatGPT and whatnot. I've seen like hundreds of them. So I don't know, maybe I can like share some after the session. But essentially, I think the most common structure I've seen is like you provide what you want to aim to do every time you're trying to use these tools is to give the artificial intelligence model enough context to give you the results that you want. So it can even be as simple as now when I'm using ChatGPT 3, instead of just saying, oh, uh, I'm trying to I'm trying to write an article or something. Write this article for me on how to prepare jollof rice or whatever. It'll be more like, okay, I'm trying to write an article. Um, this is the data that I want in the article. These are some of the um, key points I want you to highlight. These are this is my target audience. This is like the information I want them to really live with. I want you to give like granular details on this. And then I even go a step further and say, wait, if I'm going to provide it with like a snapshot of something I've already written, like an example, I'll be like, do not respond until I indicate that um this is the example I'm trying to provide you with below. And then I'll say, build your output should include um, a conversational tone of voice. It should it should build off of the example I provided you above, and it should, like just like the more you give it like context and the more you like get really specific about what you want, the better your results are going to be. But if you like give it like simple one word requests, kind of, it gives you like simple generic answers as well. I guess like in the end it's more like just eventually like these tools will help you become more what's the word for it? This word is escaping me. Basically, just like something describing when like you really have to, when you really start to like think about what it is you're trying to achieve before doing,
Yeah,
like more of a thinker and like a strategic person as opposed to just like doing, if that makes sense.
absolutely. Yeah, no, it actually makes sense. And the reason why I asked that is, like I said, when you don't know how to use a tool, right, you would misuse it. To get the best results, right, you need to feed it, because it's artificial intelligence. It's a language, whatever, that has been programmed, right? So if you do not feed it what it understands, right, it will not give you what you're looking for. Like you also said, I also recall when I think I wanted to put together an article, and I had to be as granular as possible. right? I had to tell the ChatGPT to quote certain articles, reference them, the year, right? And pull out specific quotes from each of those books that talk about that particular subject. I could have just written, oh, write me an article on XYZ, and it would have given me just a generic, but I wanted it to, like, you have to, just like you are a chef, right? The way I would prepare my jollof rice will be different from yours, right? Knowing what to put, how to put it, and the right amount of information you should give the tool would help you with better results, right? So thank you very much for buttressing that fact. Someone said something. I got on a live session today, and someone made mention of, let me see, I think I took a screenshot of it. Someone made mention of the future of design, and he mentioned two things. He said, let me read it in specificity. Where's it? He said, AI is the future, right? Fusing HI and AI will define a new path for humanity. So HI, meaning human intelligence, right? And artificial intelligence, he believes that would create a new path for humanity. What's your take on that? Because AI is just, I don't want to say it's quite robotic, right? Where's the place of human intelligence, right, in the grand scheme of things? Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, definitely. Like, you see that artificial intelligence is basically just building off of what we as humans already know. And if you recall, I mentioned earlier that your artificial intelligence model is only as good as the data you feed it. So without like the core aspects of like human intelligence, in the sense that without like the whole picture of what makes us human, or like some of the core fundamentals about how we think or how we process things, it would, the results of like what the AI can provide will never quite reach the level that we want it to. Which is why it's actually quite important now that, especially on this side of the world, us being Africans or whatnot, have to contribute our own quota of data to the artificial intelligence models, just so that we're not left um, out of the picture, in the sense that uh, the AI, the artificial intelligence models right now will take in the data that you provide it. So if you're not giving it the context of this part of the world, the chances are that the output it will be providing will always like exclude um, who we are and how we think and whatnot. So yeah, essentially, I think the entire point of it was that your AI, most AI models will only be as good as the data that we humans provided, and they are typically modeled around like how we think, and only like only that like they go a step further and they help to connect a lot of thoughts and a lot of thinking systems that we ourselves did not like establish connections around. But yeah, essentially, we do need to contribute our own quota of intelligence to like helping these systems scale.
Wow, thank you very much. This is 1 hour well spent. Um, from the audience, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. I want to believe that I want to believe that they are following you wholeheartedly, and I believe they are learning a thing or two. But if you have any questions that our guest speaker has not touched on, please feel free to raise your hand, and you'll be given the opportunity to ask your question. Lola, have you used Midjourney before?
Yes, I have.
What's your experience with Midjourney?
Oh, it's quite similar. Basically, you have to be as specific as possible when you're trying to imagine, get it to imagine something for you. But I'd say that actually now ChatGPT helps with generating prompts for Midjourney, so I guess that has made it a bit easier to use. What was your experience as well?
Well, I've not used it, but I've been reading people's experiences about it. So one said, "Oh, the final output in terms of imagery is always not. There's still a bit of tweaks that need to be done. There's still a bit of work that needs to be done with respect to the final output or the result, right? That Midjourney gives you. I don't know if, but like I said earlier, right, and you also corroborated, is the prompt you give it, right, will inform what you will get in the end. So it could be that people have not found a hack to using it well, right, or something of that nature. That's and you can only use it for a duration, right? You have to pay to continue using it. Is that not it?
Yeah, I mean, all good things, most good things are not free. So, yes.
Wow, that's quite interesting. Any other person has anything to say? Do you have anything to contribute? Because no man is an island of knowledge, right? If you have insights from the audience, if you have insights on the subject, please, that maybe our guest speaker has not touched on, that you feel will be beneficial to us, right? Please do well. Lola, I'm sure you know Lade Tawak, right? Can you hear me? Am I audible, please?
Well, I presume that like everything is fine, and I think
Yeah. So, Lola, please, I would appreciate if you can. You said you were going to share certain links to useful resources, and also link to your design products with AI and machine learning, right? If you have a creative that we can share on our in our community, please do well to share with me so that we can push out on all our social media platforms and in the private community. So anyone who is interested can also get enrolled for
yeah,
it.
of course, of course. I'll revert back to you as soon as we're done with the call. So
All right, all right. For those of you who joined late, sorry for joining late, but this session will be made available on our YouTube channel. So if you apparently joined late or you missed a thing or two, when the video is ready or the recording is ready, we would announce it or we'll publicize it, and you can go back and watch the session again. Once again, I want to thank our guest speaker, Lola, for making it to today's webinar out of a busy schedule, right? Lola, I can't thank you enough. I wish I can give you the whole world. I wish I can pay you for this time, right, that you've spent with us. And I believe our community members are, and even those who follow us on social media are, gained a thing or two, right? I want to say thank you very much, and I wish you all the best in your endeavors. But before we go, can you talk to us about Flick? I know you say you have Flick social media management. Thank God I didn't miss that. Please, please.
um sorry, talk to you. What part would you like to know about Flick?
Flick. Okay, so sometime a few weeks ago, you mentioned that you've released a product, social media management tool, right, backed by AI. Can you talk to us briefly about that and how we can leverage it? Is it still in beta or is it live for everyone to use? And just talk to us on it.
So yeah, essentially like what we're building at Flick is very much in line with already existing value proposition. We help people that use social media basically make it easier for you to use it. We help brands be visible and make help them to accelerate growth in their business through social media. So of course, like when the new technologies came up and it was very obvious that we could enhance the value that we're currently offering to customers using these technologies. We hopped on it, and the tool that we have currently built is basically like exploring the content ideation part of the social media management space. So essentially, if you're a marketer or you're an advertising agency, chances are you typically have to figure out ways to keep putting your brand out there and basically have a content strategy, create content around it, and essentially like advertise to get your brand in front of customers. So yeah, this is basically what our tool does. We're leveraging AI and our own AI model, like I said, and basically fine tuning it to suit this use case. And yeah, so basically that's what it does. Like our AI model like helps people come up with content ideas. It's like a brainstorming partner. It helps you like figure out the best ways to reach your audience, tell you like, oh, this is the best time to create this kind of content, you should post it at this time, and then now you can like with one click share to like all your different social media channels, and even possibly schedule it like a year ahead or 6 months ahead if you don't want to go that far. So it's just, yeah, essentially just taking the pain and hassle out of like your social media management. And like I said, it's just building on the initial value that we were offering as a team, but now infusing like artificial intelligence into the core of like the infrastructure of the products, and this makes it like a lot easier for us to do these things. So typically my day to day is like working with the data scientists and machine learning engineers, like I said, to currently figure out like what's the best way to get inputs from people. Where can we like offer the most value with this product? Where can we are we like structuring the prompts in the best way? Because essentially now that I've created avenues to get inputs from users, we are the ones structuring the prompt on the back end. So we have to figure out if like the way we're currently structuring this is like the best possible format and whatnot. And yeah, so regarding the tool in general, it's still in beta, but I think in 2 weeks it'll be available to the general public, and hopefully you all will like give it a try when it's announced.
Wow. Thank you very much for that. I'm glad that I didn't miss that question. Um, I'm glad that I didn't miss that question. Once again, like I said, this is 1 hour well spent. And I'm sorry for taking you late into the night. Different time zones, right? For those of us in Nigeria, um, Lola is outside of Nigeria, and I know a couple of people here who are outside of Nigeria. I'm sure Ladetu is outside Nigeria, right? So, but time zones vary. But Lola, sincere thanks goes out to you for making this happen and for taking time out of a busy schedule to come speak to us. I'm sure you've seen the comments from people who have been on the call. They are really appreciative of what you've done for us today, and the great session, right? Someone said he's learned something new. Like the presentation was spot on. Lola, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. And for everyone who joined, I also have to thank you as well, because without you, this session might have been boring. But seeing numbers here, I believe in numbers, but I'm not one giving to vanity metrics, right? Oh, 100 people join this live, right? No, but I'm more of value metrics, right? Even if 5 people join this call and they got value, it's much important to me, or I prefer that than to have 100 people who just come make the numbers and don't get value. But for those of you who had stayed till this point, I'm certain you got value, right? So thank you very much. We'll be having the next webinar in April. I'll let you know when that will be and what we'll be talking about. If you have any topics you want us to talk about, please feel free to recommend. And if you have any speaker you think will be best fit, and this is me making an open call. Lade, I'm coming for you next. Lola, I'm sure you know Lade, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
It's
So
actually a pleasant surprise seeing yes.
yeah, Lade was one who sent a message saying she was on the call last week for 10 minutes. So it's I'm quite surprised, and it's like you said, pleasant surprise to have Lade here. For those of you who don't know Lade is I don't much for Lade, but having someone like this also want to join in sessions, like to learn from others, is like I'm quite impressed. Like I'm inspired by. See, I can't say much, but thank you very much, guys. I'll end the recording. If you have anything to say aside the subject of today, please feel free to